Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day, any and all who are joining us today, whenever that is, whatever that is, wherever that is. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Bracketball, a college basketball podcast on this oddly wonderful Monday, because the season's starting today, guys. It's awesome. Best time of the year starting up. I can't wait. We have a lot of many basketball games to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Many teams starting up their seasons today and will be throughout the rest of the week. And we have a lot to talk about. We appreciate you for joining us for this opening week of college basketball. I hope you stick with us as we march to March.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
I like it.
Thank you. I've been working on that one.
Was that on the spot or is that
No.
planned?
I've been working on that one.
Okay.
I had that one written out. All right. So now for some introductions on the desk. I'll go from y'all's right to left. We have Miss Kenzie Craich, Mr. Connor Fuchsa, and myself, Jacob Patterson. How are you guys feeling? I know I'm kind of like, woo, let's go, but I think y'all are the same way, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm more locked in. I'm less animated, but I'm
fair.
definitely locked in.
That's fair.
I think today is like a sigh of relief for me because I've been doing so much like trying to get pre-season content out. Mm-hmm. So I'm like right now I'm kind of like on edge, but once that like Arizona game tips off tonight, I'm excited.
Yeah, Connor's got like an encyclopedia, just an entire database of stuff he's been working on for months now. It's insane.
I love college basketball.
Heck yeah. But before we jump into that, I want to just kind of give a little bit of some house cleaning and just say how everything's going to be. This episode's going to look a lot differently than what future episodes will look like, just because no games have happened. And I know some people really love talking about exhibition matches and secret scrimmages. Personally, I don't give a crap about those. I want to talk about real basketball. Obviously, we can't recap any games because nothing's happened, so we'll be doing a lot of game previews and stuff today. Later on, we'll normally start with recapping games, but today we'll just be previewing games and talking about some other things as well. This is split, men's basketball and women's basketball. We're going to start with men's basketball, and then we'll get into women's basketball later. And then the other thing is the two main things I'm going to reference. We got week games, weekday games, and weekend games. For week games, whenever I say that, I'm talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Weekend games, whenever I reference that, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just want to say no confusion there. So if I say week games and you're like, but this team plays on Friday, I'm not counting. That's a weekend game on my book. So I just want to clarify that.
Good to know.
As well. All right, guys. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready to go? Let's go ahead and jump right in.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
100%.
All right. So we're starting off with the men's side of things. Now, the big thing here is that we open the year, obviously, in non-con, where you're not getting a bunch of heavyweight matches off the start. You're getting some, but, most teams in their non-con getting up and playing those Ken Pom plus 150s and all that, the mid-majors and stuff. So we don't have a lot to necessarily go into big matchups because most of the big teams this week are going to dominate.
Yeah.
However, we do have some big games starting tonight. Now, today's Monday as we're recording this. Tonight, in Las Vegas, the Hall of Fame series in a neutral site game. I don't really know how neutral it is, but it's neutral site.
Close to Arizona.
Number 3 Florida, defending national champions. They're opening their season against the number 13 Arizona Wildcats. Now, Florida. We'll start with talking about Florida. Obviously, defending national champions of the preseason number 2 in Ken Pom. No more Walter Clayton. No more Elijah Martin. No more Will Richard. They're losing a lot of their backcourt stuff, but however, they do return a lot for their front court. Alex Condon's back. Thomas Houck, who had averaged 9.8 off the bench last year, is back. Ruben Chinielu's also back. So Florida's bringing back a very experienced backcourt, but it's a little bit different I flipped it again. They're bringing back a very big front court, but it's a little bit up in the air of how that backcourt's going to look. Now, they did bring in some pretty big transfers. Boogie Fland, who was the number 6 transfer overall, I believe, on 247. He's coming in from Arkansas, averaged 13.5 in 21 games last year, had that wrist surgery about in, I think it was January, before coming back in the tournament. Wasn't really a factor there, but still a big-time guard get for Florida. They also get in Xavier Lee, who was the number 29 transfer from Princeton, who's an absolute dog, career 12.7 points per game in 91 games played at Princeton. So he's really good. So Florida kind of reloading a little bit while also returning some pretty big pieces. Now, Zona, we'll talk about them for a second here. Number 15 preseason, Ken Pom. They had a solid year 1 in the Big 12 last year. Were a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they lost to the Sweet 16 16 to Duke. However, they did lose a lot. They lost 5 of their top 7 in minutes per game last year. That includes Caleb Love. Now, I know a lot of people have differing opinions on Caleb Love, but he was a very big basketball player for Arizona last year. That's going to be a tough guy to have to replace. They also lost KJ Lewis, Trey Townsend, Carter Bryant, among others. They do return Jaden Bradley, and a handful of other guys. They also have a fantastic recruiting class as well. So a lot of new faces tonight in Vegas for Florida-Arizona, a top 15 duel between those teams. I'll open the floor to y'all guys. Connor, I know you got probably a lot to say. What are we thinking? What are we thinking for this matchup tonight?
I mean, it's a very interesting matchup. I think it would be the factor is it's the first game of the season, so it's mainly a lot on the returners, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I love Arizona. I love Arizona moving forward. They are a very much freshman-led team. They've got Bradley, who talked about this coming back. He'll have to step up big tonight for the Wildcats. Mm-hmm. But Florida, it's weird because their identity last year was in their backcourt. You talked about it with Clayton, with Rycard, with Martin, those guys. Now it's kind of going to be in the front court. I really like Condon, especially he was struggling with injuries last year. Going to be healthy. Hawk's good. Chinlinyu is good. I like the transfers. It's really going to be a battle of can Arizona stop their bigs, and I don't really think they can.
Yeah.
A lot of the freshmen Arizona brought in are guards. You got Burries, you got Pete, you got Aristode, you got Bradley returning. Toby Awaka.
Don't forget about Bryce James.
Mm-hmm. Bryce James, but he's not. He's also a guard.
Yeah,
So they don't got a ton of size, whereas that's Florida's biggest strength. They've got one of the best front courts in the nation.
Exactly.
So it's going to be a battle of can Arizona guards honestly outscore Florida's bigs, and I don't know if we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think you brought it up, Bryce James. I think that it's going to be kind of like that home game atmosphere a little bit even more because they are close to Arizona. You're going to bring in a lot of people to watch Bryce James. Even in just him being who he is, I think it's going to bring another kind of atmosphere. So I think Florida's going to be playing a little bit against a home crowd, essentially. But I do like Florida's front court a lot. I like Alex a lot. He's an AP preseason All-American for a reason.
Yeah.
I very much am a fan of him. I also like Xavier Lee. I think that he's going to step up in a lot of ways to be a playmaker. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had the most assists in Princeton. In Princeton history. And so I think that that's kind of something to take note of and understand, like, they are losing a lot of their backcourt, but I think that they're also bringing in some people that can contribute.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, good.
I was going to say, the big name for me that I didn't mention is Braden Burries. I love the freshman guard for Arizona. Pete and Burries are kind of both put together in the same conversation because they were ranked 9th and 11th. I think Burries is a lot better than Pete. Okay. I'm not the biggest fan of Pete coming in, but Burries, I watched this film. I mean, he's a bucket. He can get it from anywhere. And I think he's the number 9 recruit in the nation, I think. Honestly, I've talked about it before. I think he could be as high as 4. The top 3, the Boozer, the Advanced, to the Peterson, they're in a tier of their own. No one's even close to those guys. But when it gets to that 4 through 11 range, I like Burry's chances to be all the way up there to potentially the 4th best freshman in the nation. I think he's going to be huge. It's just how quick can he translate? That's the question tonight.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask is how quickly. I think Arizona might be able to take a little bit of advantage as Florida's kind of transitioning with the backcourt. You have 2 new guys in. Boogie Flan was great. However, he didn't play a whole lot last year at Arkansas. How well is that going to be? And then Xavier Lee, he was a dog at Princeton. I was a big Xavier Lee guy last year, but the transition up to the SEC, to arguably the number 1 conference, that from the Ivy League is an insane jump. Yeah. Do you think that's something that Florida might struggle with, especially early on, as Arizona maybe aggressively attacks them?
I was going to say, the big question for me is going to be Xavier Lee. I mean, I think we've all seen the Ivy League venues for their basketball teams. They're not that big. They honestly are the size of high school basketball arenas. You're going to play in Las Vegas. You're not even playing just in general an away game at Arizona. You're playing in Las Vegas, one of the biggest cities, biggest venues in the nation. I really am interested to see how well Lee can handle that pressure. But I do think outside of Lee, I think Florida will be good. I mean, you got guys that just ran on a run in March Madness. They know how to play in big games. So I think Florida will be fine even if he does struggle a little early, but it's going to be interesting to see if he can adapt to that huge venue.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's going to be a testament to Arizona and see kind of if they can be physical with him. I think that's the biggest thing that the Ivy League maybe doesn't do as well as the SEC is definitely physicality. So I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how Arizona brings that in. I mean, from the Big 12, granted, but giving him maybe a little bit of an introduction there.
Something that I just dawned on me, and I'm about to do some research, was Xavier Lee a young member of that Princeton team that upset Arizona in 2023? I want to say, I don't know if he was a big factor in it, Yeah, he wasn't a big factor in that 23 team, averaged 4 a game for Princeton. But still, he was on that Princeton team that upset Arizona round 1 in that 23 tournament. So that's a
Dang.
little tidbit of information. And then the one final thing I want to get in for this game, as we'll pick it later. But how quickly do you think, how seamless is the transition? Because I'm going to assume that Pete and Burries and the insane recruiting class, as well as the international class, are going to be some pretty big, be pretty involved week in this first game. So do we think that's going to be a pretty seamless transition, and do you think that's something that gives Arizona an edge? Because I think for me, looking at this game, Florida obviously has the advantage in the front court, but in that back court, does Arizona have? Well, what's the advantage there? Do you think Arizona's going to have that advantage with having more guys in that they recruited in that could be more seamless of a transition, or do you think Florida might have the edge just because of the experience?
I'm going to go with Arizona.
Arizona?
I really
Okay.
like this Arizona recruiting class and their
Yeah.
backcourt. I think we've also seen in recent history, the freshman label doesn't mean a lot in
Right.
college basketball. I know it's the first game, so there is a little bit difference there, but again, you talked about you don't love the scrimmages, but I mean, you see the guys like DeBansta, Boozer, Peterson. Again, those are the top guys. Those guys are putting up 20-20s or like 30-point games in their scrimmages. Like the transition from high school to college has kind of, the gap has shrunk a lot for these top guys. So I think Burries, Pete, and I really like Aristotle too. I think he's underrated. He's a top 30 recruit in the nation, but he gets kind of blown under the bridge because of Pete and Burries on the same roster. I think those 3 guys with Bradley, I think the backcourt advantage goes to Arizona.
I really think talking less about maybe the players and more about the coaching. I think when you get into basketball, you can get two really good teams, but I think the coaching really does it for me. So Tommy Lloyd and Todd Golden, they're so good. But
Fantastic coaching duels.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's great. I personally, I love Todd Golden. He's been there. He was just there a couple months ago, or I guess a few months ago. So I don't know. I think I would maybe trust Todd Golden to take that energy from March into where he's at now. And Tommy Lloyd, I mean, he's had more time, debatably, but I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see the coaching duel there.
Awesome, and we'll get back to that game here in a second when we make our final picks. I want to go on and move on to the next game happening in Vegas following the conclusion of the Florida Arizona game. This one might be a little bit more one-sided. Villanova taking on the number 8 BYU Cougars. Now I'm going to start talking about Nova here. Disappointing past couple of years under Kyle Neptune. They were 6th in the Big East last year, missed the tournament last year. Bye-bye Kyle Neptune. Enter Kevin Willard, from
Shock.
Maryland. There was a little bit of some drama with that one.
Oh, yeah.
Notoriously, Maryland's in the dogfight with Colorado State in that round of 32 game. I think it was earlier that day it had leaked that Willard was probably going to go to take the Villanova job. And then all that week as Maryland's prepping for Florida, it's like, oh, Kevin Willard's going to Villanova. And the attention really got away. It was an entire mess last year, and then Maryland goes and can't keep up with Florida, and game over. And finally we get to the point where it's like, all right, Willard, go to Villanova. Please, let's be done with this.
Yeah.
Nova coming into this year, though, preseason Ken Pom, number 50. That's good for 6th in the Big East. They had 6 guys that started games last year. Only one of them returns, and that was Tyler Perkins, who only had 3 starts last year. Played most of the games, I think, but only had 3 starts, averaged 6 a game. Eric Dixon, gone. Wuga Poplar, Jordan Langino, all gone. They hit the transfer portal hard, though.
Yeah.
They get Bryce Lindsey, transfer from James Madison, number 2 scorer for the Dukes last year, averaged 13 a game. They also get Duke Brennan, who was the number 4 scorer, 10 points a game there at Grand Canyon, who made the tournament last year. He led the team in 2-point percentage. And then a couple other guys, Malachi Palmer, Devin Askew, Zion Stanford, Malcolm Flagg. So they hit the transfer portal hard. Maybe not the caliber of guys, though, that is going to help them compete against BYU. Now, the Cougars last year, they personally exceeded my expectations. I thought I was a little bit lower on them coming into the year, and then they were a lot better, especially down the stretch. And I thought they'd be 26-10, finishing 4th in the Big 12. They were 6th seed in the NCAA tournament and had a pretty good run, upset Wisconsin before getting absolutely flooded by whatever the heck Alabama did to them in that Sweet 16 game. Very good year for Kevin Young. They come in, Ken Pom, number 18. So that's good for 6th in the Big 12, so Ken Pom's got him a little bit lower than the AP poll does. They do return some key contributors last year. Richie Saunders is back, averaged 16 and a half last year. He was the number one leading scorer. They also get a massive transfer in, Rob Wright III from Baylor. They get Kennard Davis from Southern Illinois, who was they have the number 2 transfer class in the Big 12 last year.
Yep.
And also the big thing that everyone was talking about, though, was that recruiting class, landing the number 2 recruit, AJ DeBansta, from as a 5-star last year. They're absolutely loaded. They're primed and ready to go for a potential big season this year. Obviously, the AP has got them up super high at number 8, but they start with the year of maybe against a Villanova team that's historically pretty solid basketball, at least in the past 15 years. Guys, does Villanova have a shot tonight? Are we giving them a shot?
No way.
No.
Bro.
No.
No, you see BYU play UNC the other night, and oh my gosh, they look good. They look really, really, really good. I love them. I really do. I might be a little bit of a BYU stan right now, but like they look good. I really do like them.
Well, I'm right here with Kenzie because I'm a huge BYU stan.
Okay.
I had them in the Elite Eight last year. I had them upsetting Bama. Obviously, that didn't go out. But I love the brand of basketball BYU plays. They chuck up a lot of threes.
Yep.
They're fast. They score a lot of points. I love the system that their coaches brought over for the team. But the big factor to me, a guy you didn't even mention, I love Cape Ikeda. I don't know what it is about Cape Ikeda. He's about an 8.8 rebound a night kind of guy. But when you've got a team of 4-out shooters, guys just firing up threes, guys that honestly a lot more wing-built players, you need that paint presence.
Yep.
You need that big guy. He is a physical specimen. I would not want to box him out. I would not want to be near him in the paint. I would not even try a shot on him. Like, he is a physical specimen. DeBance's already talked about how he loves throwing lobs to him. He's an amazing lob threat. I think he's going to be a big factor in this game to hold down the fort, hold down the paint for the Cougars while their outside guys, Saunders, Baker's back. He's a great three-point shooter. Tyler Mears from Idaho, amazing three-point shooter they got in. They've got a lot of shooters. They got some buckets with DeBansta, Saunders, Wright.
Yeah.
You got Cade in the middle. There's a complete – I really don't see a flaw in this team. I am really high on BYU.
Yeah, Keita led the team in rebounds and blocks last year, so he's an experienced veteran at that level as well.
Yeah.
Talking about Villanova here, is there a way where they can keep this close? Maybe first half. Maybe do we see any avenues where Kevin Willard cooks up something that might give BYU a little bit of run for their money this year, or not this year, today. Sorry.
Here's the thing for me. BYU. Well, what I do need to see out of BYU tonight is that their defense needs to step up.
Yes.
I mean, we saw in that. You talked about the Bama game. Bama put up like 115 on it. Like
insane.
it was insane.
That 3-point deluge right there.
BYU lives or dies by the 3-point ball a lot of times, and their defense isn't that great. They just rely on basically, I'm going to outscore you. I'm going to score more points than you this game.
Right.
So I could see a world where if the shots aren't falling early for BYU, especially because it's in Vegas, so it's not in a location. It's not like in BYU's arena that they're used to playing in. So if the shots aren't falling early, Villanova can definitely keep this close with Cougars' defensive liabilities. But I don't see a world where they keep this within 10 by the time the final buzzer sounds.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page. I think they did a lot better, BYU, than previously of, when like getting to the rim a little bit more. I saw that a little bit more against UNC. Granted, they still shot the ball extremely well, but I could see that being, again, maybe a point in contention. But I don't know. I don't see Villanova coming within probably 15 at the end. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll circle back on that one. Let's see if that still holds by the end of our segment here.
Yep.
One last big game I want to talk about in depth. Power school versus power school happening once again in another neutral site game. Texas traveling to the East Coast to take on the number 6 Duke Blue Devils in the Dick Vitale Invitational in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yes, neutral site. That game's happening.
That's not close at all to Duke.
No. Duke can never travel there.
They probably had to fly, right?
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
not taking bus.
Exactly. That game happening Tuesday, so tomorrow night at 7:45. Talking about the Shorthorns here. Sorry, Longhorns. But Texas last year had a disappointing season. They were 19-16 year one in the SEC. They somehow made the tournament. I didn't think they should have, but they did. And they finished 13th in the SEC, mind you. They were a part of the first 4. They were an 11 seed, lost to Xavier in the first 4. Bye-bye Rodney Terry. And how does the saying go? If you can beat them, join them. That's exactly, I guess, what Sean Miller's saying. Sean Miller, who was the head coach of the Xavier team that beat Texas, now the Texas head coach coming into this year. Texas preseason Ken Palm at number 39. That's coming in 12th in the SEC. Now Texas losing a lot of their production last year. Trey Johnson, Arthur Kaluma, Caden Shedrick, number 1, number 2, number 5 scorers for the Longhorns last year. They do get Jordan Pope back, Tremont Mark, Shendell Weaver back. So they don't lose everything, but they do lose a good chunk of what they did last year.
Yeah.
They had a relatively solid portal class. They got Simeon Wilcher from St. John's. They got a couple guys from Xavier as well. Moving on to Duke, because we were talking a little bit about this before we started. Duke, obviously everyone knows the story about what happened last year. They were insane, absolutely ran through the ACC, number 1 seed in the tournament. They ran through their side of the bracket, had an absolute banger of a game in that Final Four game against Houston.
Yeah.
That was one of the best Final Four games I think I've ever watched. Had me, oh my gosh, the last 5 minutes I was just jumping around in my room, disturbing my roommate who was asleep downstairs. But we're not talking about last year's Duke team anymore. This year's Duke team, and they lost, I believe, their entire starting 5 to the NBA, which is absurd and insane, but they lost their entire starting 5 to the NBA. They're going to have to replace a lot. They do have some returning pieces. Isaiah Evans was the number 6 scorer, averaged 6.8 points a game last year. Also get Caleb Foster. Nothing big from the transfer class. What they hit, as we would expect from Duke, is they had an insane recruiting class. They had the number 1 recruiting class in the nation last year, highlighted by bringing in the Boozer twins, along with Nicholas Homenia, Sebastian Wilkins, Dame Sarr, a couple other guys as well. There's going to be, I think, a little bit of a settling period where guys gotta take that a little bit of a step up. Now it's Duke, and they're historically very good about the freshmen that come in being immediate impacts. Just look at Cooper Flagg last year.
Yeah.
But you're probably going to say, hey, maybe there's a little bit of a transitional period. Do we think Texas can catch them a little off guard Tuesday in Charlotte? How are we feeling about that game?
Well, my first comment, which I just thought was a crazy stat that I didn't know, was that the 39th team in KenPom is the 12th best team in SEC. So the SEC has 12 teams in the top 39.
Yep.
That's insane. However, I'm not a huge fan of this Texas team. I really like Xavier, like the Xavier head coach, Sean Miller, and a couple of the guys he brought over. But they lose Trey Johnson. I mean, their best bucket to the NBA. And I just don't necessarily see one person that's going to replace that. And I don't think that's what they were trying to do. I think they're trying to get a more balanced scoring attack because obviously that one guy last year didn't work.
Yeah.
So they've got a more balanced scoring attack with Pope, Mark. They bring in Swain. They bring in Troy Ore. Like a lot of guys that can get buckets. But I worry, especially in this first game against Duke, if they've got the star power. Do they got that guy that can take over with 5 minutes left in the game if they're somehow holding on against Duke? I don't see that guy. I don't see that guy that can take over a game, whereas Duke's got their guy. They got Cameron Boozer. So for now, I'm going to say I don't really see Texas keeping it close.
Yeah, I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but I like Weaver on Texas. I really do. I like the way he plays. He missed 15 games last season.
Yeah.
So I think he has a chance to really come in and maybe do some things. And I think that they're also going through a change with their coach, obviously. So there's going to be a transitional period for both teams. I think John Shire does an amazing job at what he does. One thing that I really just, Duke in general this season, and maybe even future seasons, what I hope that they don't end up doing is becoming like a Kentucky, where it's like a one-stop shop for some freshmen. That's what I really hope that they don't do. And I hope that trend maybe doesn't continue, because I like watching Duke. I like John Shire, and I want to see him develop players. So I'm curious to see how that kind of goes throughout this season. But I would agree. I don't think that Texas really has any go-to guys. But I don't know. That one's a tough one for me.
For me, Texas feels like one of those teams that's going to take a second for them to really get going. I'm not super high on Texas either this year. I think they hopefully might be one of the teams that's one of the odd teams out this next year in the when it comes to the tournament play. I think they'll be right there on the bubble for most of the year. But I think they'll be on the right side out, or on the wrong side out. But I do think that this is a team that's going to take some time for them to get into a flow and get into a rhythm. Which is why if they were absolutely loaded with veterans and guys that if they had the one guy that they could go to, then maybe I think that would give them a much better shot at winning today or winning tomorrow. but I just don't know if, like you said, if they have the guys that can go out there and go bar for bar with Duke. Because I think what I've learned from the John Shire era is that I can't doubt him. There was a little bit there where I was like, maybe there's a little bit of dip. No, I think he silenced that last year, and that they're going to keep the big blue machine going. Mm-hmm. And so I think Duke will probably also win big. Do we think Texas maybe has an avenue of keeping it a little close to tomorrow?
I don't really see it. Honestly, what I want to say is I think there's some SEC inflation going on after last season. It's entered from football. It's now into basketball. Last year, don't get me wrong, historic season. They were the best conference in basketball. This year, I think it shifts back to the Big 12 where it's been in recent years. The 12th best team in the SEC last year, maybe it's 39th best team in the country. This year, it should be around the 50s or 60s, where it should normally be.
Right.
I don't see Texas necessarily being a top 50 team in basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I really do agree with that. I think Texas is just missing some integral pieces, and especially coaching changes are honestly, in my opinion, a little bit bigger than even player changes and roster changes. So I think that's something to keep in mind too as they go forward tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. I just want to move on. That's kind of the big games for the men this week. Like I said, Monday through Thursday. But I do want to go over and just kind of list off some of the big the games that the ranked teams play this week. And if y'all want to chime in on any of the games, go right ahead. We'll start with the Monday games tonight, 5:30. Quinnipiac takes a trip to New York to take on St. John's, number 5 St. John's this year. That is looking absolutely loaded this year. Then also at 6 o'clock tonight, a couple of 6 o'clock games. New Haven goes to Stores to take number 4 UConn. Now I don't know if y'all know this, but New Haven, this is their first year as a D1 school, and they were not a good D2 basketball school.
Okay.
So we might see things that violate the Geneva Convention tonight in Stores. Southern goes to Fayetteville to take on number 14 Arkansas. Mercer at number 18 Tennessee. My boys at the Toothpaste College, Colgate, travels to take on Tom Izzo, Michigan State, number 22. Central Arkansas, who could be one of the worst teams in college basketball this year, they're taking on North Carolina, number 25. Then at 7 o'clock games, Lehigh at number 2 Houston, as Houston looks to rebound, probably the top team in the Big 12 this year, could be the top team in the country. We probably talk about that on throughout this season. North Dakota taking a trip to Tuscaloosa, take on number 15 Alabama. Fairleigh Dickinson at number 16 Iowa State. Green Bay at number 19 Kansas. Bethune-Cookman will be the first test for Stephen Pearl as he takes over for his father at number 20 Auburn. Campbell taking on Wisconsin in Madison. Wisconsin number 24 Oakland at number 7 Michigan. That's a 7:30 game. Another 7:30 game. Jackson State at 17 Illinois. And then a couple 8 o'clock games. South Carolina State at number 11 Louisville. Texas Southern at number 21 Gonzaga. And then the late game tonight, 9:30 Eastern Washington at number 12 UCLA. Anything really interesting? I expect probably all those teams to roll. Anything really interesting sticking out to you for all those games? Any of those games?
No, I was looking at the Monday slate and I was like, I see there's definitely some teams in the top 25 that I feel like are very upset prone.
Yeah.
They're not facing anyone that can upset them today.
No,
so
I 100% agree.
I don't see a world where really any of these games are within 15 to 20.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we didn't talk about that a whole lot a second ago.
I will say, though, I looked into Green Bay, Kansas just because of Doug Gottlieb and Bill Self, right? Mm-hmm. And then I found out that Green Bay has a sophomore. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Bethia is his last name. He's the oldest player in college basketball at 29 years old.
Oh.
He spent 5 years in the military before coming in to play.
Okay.
I found that, and I was like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. So that has nothing to do with basketball, nothing to do with
That's
sports. But
that's
a really
cool little tidbit.
Like,
Green Bay's got the oldest guy in college basketball on their roster, and it's that's taking the floor against Kansas, who had a notorious old dude last year that's finally gone.
Hunter Dickinson's got a job.
Finally, he's done.
I saw him on TV, though. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Stealing our jobs.
Couple Tuesday games. Tomorrow at 5:30, Evansville at the preseason number 1 Purdue. Purdue's probably going to be a very good basketball team, in case you didn't know. Yeah. Tomorrow at 6, Nichols at number 9 Kentucky. Poor Nichols, man. Kentucky might beat them by 50. Kentucky might be in my opinion, one of the deepest basketball teams in the league this year.
Yeah.
And then 7 p.m. tomorrow, Lindenwood at number 10 Texas Tech. For our Wednesday game, only one ranked team plays on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. South Dakota taking a trip to Nebraska to take on the number 23 Creighton Blue Jays. And then for the Thursday games, a couple repeats here. Jackson State at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Jackson State goes to number 11 Louisville for their second game. Florida gets a much easier test on Thursday, taking on North Florida at 7 p.m. Iowa State, number 16, hosting Grambling. And then Stephen Pearl, his second game, number 20, hosting number 20 Merrimack. Or not number 20 Merrimack, number 20 Auburn hosting Merrimack. Once again, probably a bunch of blowouts. Poor Nichols, they're probably going to. Oh man, I don't want to think about that game too much for Nichols' sake. But anything super of note here? Probably not.
The interesting team for me is Creighton. I don't think South Dakota is the team that's going to knock them off, but
No.
I don't know if necessarily the Creighton. I think their history and their past is what's speaking for them being top 25. I don't know if they necessarily have that roster this year.
Right.
This is the first year in what feels like a decade. It's not been a decade that Ryan Cockburner is not holding down the
Yeah,
flag for them.
exactly.
I went to a March Madness game. I think in 2021, and he was on that team, and
Yep.
I mean, I think he was on it the year before as well. So he's been around for a while, and there's just been a lot of turnover in Creighton that I haven't seen replaced. Pop Isaacs is gone as well.
Yep.
I feel like last year they were struggling behind, trying to replace Baylor Scheinman and Trey Alexander. They never replaced them,
Nope.
and then now Pop Isaacs and Cockburner are gone. I don't see that team being a top 25 team.
All right. So that's all the top 25 games this week up until Friday. Now we're going to move on to our next segment, the Go Pokes segment.
Go
In case you
Pokes.
can't tell by the giant Pistol Pete behind Connor right
And the
here,
other two flags.
and the other stuff on the wall back here. We are filming from the campus of Oklahoma State University, so we will be talking extensively about Oklahoma State men's and women's basketball because they're both probably going to be pretty good this year.
Oh, yeah.
But first, we'll talk about the Oklahoma State men's team. They, on Tuesday at 7 p.m., they host a little interstate game. They're hosting Oral Roberts.
Connor Dow revenge game.
Yeah.
Oh,
Literally.
please. Oh, no.
Literally.
He's gonna play 5 minutes and miss three pointers. Anyway, Oklahoma State, they had insane roster turnover, replacing a lot of guys from last year. I think Robert Jennings is the only one that's back from last year's team. They do get Anthony Roy, they get Jalen Curry, they get a couple guys with the last name Coleman. They just completely reloaded through the portal this year. They have an insane recruiting class, but that's next year's. They get their first test against ORU. Now, ORU not the same ORU team as a couple years ago when they went on a couple tournament runs. But how are we thinking here, Oklahoma State? I know some of us got some high expectations for them. I was talking with someone earlier that was thinking they were going to be in the NCAA tournament. I don't know if I'm that high on them, but how are we feeling? What do we want to see from the Cowboys in their first matchup?
Yes, on the Cowboys side of the ball, I'm really high. I think they could definitely be a tournament team. I've got them 8th in the Big 12 preseason. I think it's a lot higher than most people do.
Yeah.
But
high.
I love Anthony Roy. He's going to average 20 a game.
Okay.
I love both the Colemans. Isaiah Coleman's going to be a bucket. He could average 16 a game, and from Seton Hall. But the big piece for me that I really loved out of watching that scrimmage against Auburn and also SMU is Jalen Curry.
Yes,
We have a true
insane.
point guard finally, and I feel like in previous years I've talked about this before. Arturo Dean, kind of was that guy last year, but we just ran. I felt like every single set we had was through a different guy, and that's not how you run a working offense. You need a true one. You need a true point guard facilitator, and that's what Curry's going to be. Yeah, we're going to run some sets through Roy specifically, probably just some isolations.
Yeah.
But Curry's going to run the offense, and I think that is a huge underrated piece for this team with the bucket getters of Roy, Coleman. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Jalen Curry and Anthony Roy. I especially like that they're both left-handed.
Yes.
I think that makes it extremely hard for defenses to adjust. You're talking, you have these big power, kind of like Isaiah Coleman, they're going to come in strong. Robert Jennings, they're going to come in strong. And you have to guard them straight up. Anthony Roy and Jalen Curry, they're going to have the ball in their hands a lot of the time. And people just aren't used to guarding lefties. And so I think that's going to be a huge, huge strength for them, at least in the backcourt. And I am pretty high on Ryan Crotty. I loved the way that he played in their exhibition against Auburn. I love Jalen Curry and Anthony Roy. Don't get me wrong. They were definitely by far the top players in that game. But I think Ryan Crotty will come in, and I've seen an article or two about his work ethic and kind of what he's looking for. So I think that'll be interesting too.
I also just want to say, I want y'all's opinion on this. A left-handed hooper with a bag is better than any right-handed hooper. I don't know why, but for some reason, a left-handed hooper with a bag, it just is something
Bro,
different.
their shot is so weird that you don't
Yes.
even know if they're shooting it or passing it. Like it's the worst thing to guard because you're just like, I don't know what you're gonna do, and it's awful. So yes, it's
Exactly.
great when they're on your team, but when
Oh,
they're
yeah,
not on your
100%.
team, it
Exactly.
sucks.
And Curry was talking about a preseason. He said every team he's basically been on, he's been the only lefty. We've got 4
Yeah.
on this team. It's an insane defensive nightmare to just try and everything you know about defense, shift it.
Yeah.
It's insane. All right. For the overall team, though, for the specific game on Tuesday, anything specific, kind of as a team or maybe on a specific player that you're looking for in this game? For me personally, I'm going to say I want them to limit turnovers. That was a big problem that they had against Auburn. Once again, it was an exhibition game. Not too worried about it overall, but that was something that plagued you a little bit last year at times, and you obviously against a big Auburn team that plagued you there as well. I would personally looking for you don't need to be perfect, but better against not turning over the basketball. What are the keys that you got for the game, maybe?
For me, it's going to be paint presence.
Okay.
I want to see some good paint presence. This is a team, Lutz is a system that likes to throw up a lot of threes, likes a lot of transition, but I want to see more paint presence. We saw Anthony Roy and Coleman get to the basket really well, which I loved. Christian Coleman's going to be the guy I'm looking for this game out of UAB. I want to see a strong presence in the paint. I want to see him getting up and getting some offensive rebounds and getting some second chance points for the Cowboys.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think a lot of that kind of starts on the defensive side. I want to see more of a defensive presence. Not that they didn't do well. I think that they obviously did well against Auburn, but I really do want to see maybe a little more activity with the guards. I think that the way that Lutz played defense last year, I loved it. It was intense, and I really just want to see that maybe up to notch, especially against a team like ORU where you can maybe take those chances a little bit more.
Yeah. My other thing I'm going to say also, the refs at Auburn were terrible. We can't get in foul trouble. There was so many players in foul trouble in that Auburn game. Again, watching the game, it really wasn't our guys' fault. They weren't. Oklahoma State's guys were not doing anything wrong. It really was just some terrible officiating. But you're going to get games like that, and you got to learn how to adapt. And it felt like our team never adapted. They kept just playing the same physical basketball and getting called for it. So you got to be able to adapt, and you got to be able to find the whistle and stay away from it.
Gotcha. All right, well, we'll circle back on Oklahoma State on our next episode, which we're at least recording on Friday, when after they hopefully beat Oral Roberts, and then they up next they've got Texas A&M on Sunday. So we'll keep obviously in touch with Oklahoma State. Now, as we're wrapping up the men's side of things really quick, I want to just highlight some mid-major stuff that's going on this week for the men's, as was specifically requested. So here this is. Some big games I've got this week at the mid-major level. High Point from the Big South taking on Furman of the SoCon. High Point went 29-6 last season. They were the Big South champions and made the NCAA tournament. And honestly, all things considered, played Purdue fairly well. Furman 25-10 last year, only good for 5th in the SoCon. Although they were in the tournament a couple years ago, so that'll be an interesting and a fun game to watch, especially because it's High Point's first game with their new head coach. Another one, I got James Madison from the Sun Belt taking on Akron of the MAC at Akron. James Madison 20-12 last season. They were second in the Sun Belt. They also made the tournament 2 years ago, and I believe picked up a win, right, in their first round. Didn't James Madison, I think, picked up? Didn't they beat Wisconsin? I want to say in 24.
I want to say they did.
And then Akron went 28-7 last year. They were the MAC champ and had an NCAA tournament appearance as well. A couple other smaller games. Samford of the SoCon taking on Tulane. Should be a pretty good basketball team of teams with winning records last year. And then Incarnate Word of the Southland taking on Colorado State of the Mountain West. Colorado State obviously made the NCAA tournament last year and won their first round game. Any quick little things you want to say about any of those games really quick?
My big team I want to mention is Akron.
Okay.
I loved Akron. I picked them to upset Arizona in the tournament last year. That pick went wrong.
Yeah.
Arizona won that game, and they won it pretty confidently. Outside of losing Nate Johnson, who was their best player to Kansas State, they returned a lot of their top guys. They turned Tavari Johnson, Shema Scott, Amani Lyles, a couple other guys that were averaging over 6 points a game. And they're a very deep team, too. Bowen Hardman averaged 6.6 points per game. He's coming back. That was the 9th highest scorer on that team. They had 9 guys averaging over 6.6 points per game. Very balanced attack. They're bringing back a lot of those guys. I like Akron also. Their team in Kim Palm preseason ranked above Florida State and Penn State. they're not your normal mid-major. They're above a couple Power 5 schools. So I really like Akron.
Gotcha. And so finally wrapping up our mid-major for you mid-major junkies. Already had some of those play today. Winthrop was able to pick up a win over Queens, 81-74 in the Field of 68 opening day marathon. Following that game in that same marathon, St. Bonaventure picked up a win over Bradley, 69-63. Got to watch a part of that game before the YouTube stream decided that they just didn't want to keep going. And then also East Texas A&M absolutely beat up on Arlington Baptist 119-60. So that's your final scores so far as we are speaking of this game. Are there any games live right now? I think there's probably one or two. Yeah, Lamar's playing, Prairie View's playing, Omaha, Murray State are playing. So that's your mid-major roundup. One final thing before we pick games really quick is the rankings. We already went through the teams that are playing this week. Obviously, Purdue at 1, Houston 2, Florida 3, UConn, St. John's 4 and 5. That's your top 5. We obviously mentioned already the games that they're playing this week. Any quick hitters about the rankings? Like, hey, is this team? Are we thinking this team is overvalued, undervalued? Anything like that? Really quick.
The biggest takeaway for me is you mentioned it kind of earlier. I'm really high on Kentucky. Kentucky to me is the number 1 team in the SEC.
Yeah.
I have them above Florida. I think Florida is a little high, at least to start the season. I mean, yes, they're the reigning national champions, but we've seen in previous years. I mean, UConn last year took a big dip at the start of the season.
Right.
Obviously, they took a larger fall than most, but I have Florida closer to around 10, and I've got Kentucky right there in that 3 spot. So I'm really, really high on Kentucky. Otega Owe, absolute dog. Brought in one of the best transportals in the nation, one of the best freshman classes in the nation, paired with those returners. I mean, they just did amazing on all 3 levels.
Gotcha. I also wanted to highlight the fact that the Big East is going to, I think, be a 2-headed monster this year in UConn and St. John's, and that's going to be a very fun race to watch in the Big East. I mean, Creighton Marquette are going to be decent as usual, but UConn and St. John's it's going to be an insane duel this year.
Last team I want to mention, Gonzaga basketball's back, by the way. Gonzaga, not that they
Did
really
they
left,
leave?
But outside of Drew Timme, last year they had a little bit, I guess, a quieter year than normal.
Yeah.
23 is too low for them. They are going to finish a lot, or not 23, I guess they're 21. Yeah. That's way too low for them. They got Graham Mike coming back. They got Braden Huff coming back. Tyan Grant Foster got his eligibility
he got the
cleared.
waiver good
Shout
on
out.
the NCAA,
I mean,
finally.
he's a 7th-year basketball player. I mean, yes, he had to take a year and a half off due to that heart issue that he had on the court. They also have a guy in Braden Smith who played 2 years at Colgate. Didn't play last year because he was injured. He's coming back this year, and I think no one remembers that he came to Gonzaga. He averaged 5.6 points or 5.6 assists a game at Colgate. He's going to fill into that Ryan Nimhard position, the point guard, the facilitator, and then they just got size. Ike, Huff, Grant Foster, 3 big dudes in that front court. You got Smith passing him the ball. I love him.
Gotcha. All right. Final quick segment. I think we'll go through this really quickly. It's going to be our pick'em segment. We're just going to be picking 3 games today, the 3 big ones we talked about earlier. We'll go ahead and start with the one tonight. Florida, Arizona. Guys, I think y'all probably hinted at it earlier. Who we taking for that game?
I got Florida.
It's hard. I'm going to go Florida, but it's
You're gonna
hard.
go
I
Florida?
want Arizona. If this game was even game 3 of the season, I'm going Arizona. But just that first game, I don't know if I can pick them.
I'm not going to go clean slate. I'm going to go Big 12 supremacy.
Nice.
I'm going Arizona, so we don't have a clean sweep on the first game picked this year.
Someone needs to do it.
Because I think the next 2 are going to be clean sweeps. Nova taking on BYU. I think it's safe to say we're all thinking BYU. I don't know what the line is. We might also all pick BYU to cover that game. And then I think we're probably all going to pick Duke over Texas.
Correct.
All right. So that will be all for now for our men's basketball. Now, let's switch gears. Let's go move on to women's basketball. We've got some good games this week, a little bit more so than the men's. We got some great games this week. I can't wait. I need to go take a look at one of them because one of the big games we're talking about is going on right now. Mr. Fuchsia already
I got it
had
pulled up.
right now.
Kenzie.
2, I had it pulled up. It's gone now. Baylor's coming back. Okay.
Baylor's winning.
So first things first. Today happening in Paris on the other side of the globe. Baylor, number 16 coming in. I believe. They won the Big 12 last year, right? Or they were first in the Big 12 in standings. No, they weren't. They were second.
Who's second? TCU was first.
I forgot about them. I like forgetting about them.
Right.
But Baylor, number 16 coming into this year. Duke, number 7 coming into this year. And it was looking like Duke's ball game early, although Baylor was keeping it close. But I think, did Baylor figure out their turnover woes?
Turnover woes, they did not, but they figured out how to put the ball in the basket.
Okay,
finally.
that's a good thing.
They're 33% from the field. Like, it's just not been a very pretty game. Duke's 29% from the field. Like, that's not from three. That's from the field. Like, this is
insane.
It's part of it's
games.
probably playing international. Part of it's the first game of the season woes. But it's been a very defensive battle. 19 turnovers for Baylor, 14 turnovers for Duke. Both teams shooting under 33%. It's been a battle. It's ugly, but there's 2 minutes left, and it's anyone's ball game. It's a 4-point game.
4-point game with just over 2 minutes to go. We'll definitely give a final score update when that happens. Anything speaking other than the turnovers and the bad shooting? Anyone's personal performance that's jumping out to you on the page?
I'll say I really expected on Duke's side. Toby is kind of carrying right now. She has 14 points, and that's kind of what you expect from her.
Right.
But I'll say they are a little more spread out than I was expecting. I thought that she would have a lot more of the weight, like carrying a lot more weight. But right now, I mean, they're spread across pretty evenly, at least through 4 of their 5 starters. And even off their bench, they have some pretty good presence. And then Baylor is really being carried by Talia Scott right now and Little Paige Bugs, which is kind of to be expected. I'm kind of surprised that Fauntleroy is only at 4 points.
Yeah.
I mean, she got 6 rebounds, but that's kind of something that kind of pops out at me that I'm a little bit surprised about.
Yeah, I think for Duke, for me, I agree. It's a very balanced attack, which I wasn't expecting. Toby has 13 shots, but they've got Jackson with 11, Meyer with 12, Nelson with 10 off the bench, Wood with 8 off the bench. Like, they've got, I mean, that's 6 players with over 8 shots and no one over 13. It's a very balanced attack of where the shots have been coming from.
Gotcha. All right, well, we'll circle back on that game when it goes final here in a couple minutes. There's another game happening in Paris, probably following the conclusion of the Duke-Baylor game. Cal taking on the number 19 Vanderbilt Commodores. Quick hitter on Cal. They were 25-9 last year, 7th in the ACC. They lost to Mississippi State in the round of 64. They had some pretty key departures. However, they hit the transfer portal pretty hard. Personally, I think this is a pretty young team. I'm worried a little bit about its depth. For Vanderbilt, they were 22-11 last year. They finished 8th in the SEC. They lost to Oregon in the round of 64. They lost 4 starters coming into this year. However, they do return, in my opinion, their X factor. Michaela Blakes had averaged 23 a game last year in 23 games played. They also bring back Madison Green, Ayanna Mitchell. Personally, I think this team is deeper. I think this team might be the one. Vanderbilt might pull away from this pretty early. I like this. I like their roster a lot more than I like Cal's. What are our opinions here about this first game?
I mean, you said it. It's X factor, and I think Michaela Blakes is that. I mean, she brings so much swagger. It's not even just she's good. It is she has swagger. She scored 50 points in 2 games last year, plus 50. And, I mean, she set a national record for freshmen, like, in-game scoring.
Yeah.
This girl can ball. Like, she can hoop, and I love watching her. She's very much like, she lets it come to herself. You know, she doesn't try and force things. That's what I mean. She just has a swagger about her. She's an X factor. They aren't bringing back 4 starters, but they don't really need to. Yeah. I don't think.
Yeah,
I mean, if they bring her back, they bring back everything else that they need. I mean, she makes the players around her better, and I think that's really what's going to make Vandy stand out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I'm sticking with, like, Vandy looks really good. Michaela Blakes being back is the X factor. I talked about it with Duke, and I was like, maybe it's a lot of new faces, and it's a lot of, like, I mean, obviously a lot of starters gone. But if you've got that guy in Cameron Boozer, I think the same for Blakes for Vanderbilt. If you've got a person that can put up 50 in a game, and that is freshman year, so there's just another level to be unlocked. That's a scary thought to think. You can average over 20 points a game as a freshman. I mean, I fear for whoever has to guard Blake in this game. I'm definitely Vandy. I'm very high on Vandy.
Now, for Cal, they returned their number 2 scorer from last year. I might pronounce this wrong. Lulu Twidell? I don't know how to pronounce it. She was the number 2 scorer last year, averaged 13 a game. So they do return a little bit of some production, but yeah. They also brought in I might mispronounce this one as well. Aliana Morris, whose nickname is Puff. She was McDonald's All-American last year. So there are some reinforcements coming in from Cal's side of things. They also get a couple experienced transfers. Do we think? I mean, is that enough though to counteract Miss Blake's from absolutely taking over? I mean, she's going to take over this game.
Yeah.
That's we're not saying she's not going to, but does Cal have enough to kind of counteract that? Can they have a group effort game where maybe they can keep within reach of Vanderbilt?
I think it really, I mean, you talked about it. Vandy has a lot of new players, so I think that's where they can attack. I think Michaela Blake's she's going to score. She's going to do what she does. So I think if Cal wants any chance, they have to really take those other four, kind of maybe in a more one-on-one setting, tire Michaela Blake's out on defense. Whoever she's guarding really has to be aggressive. You want to get her in foul trouble, you want to get her out of the game, and you want to get her tired.
Right.
Granted, she's probably not going to get tired. It's just not in her mentality. But, I mean, you can sure try. So I think that's really the only way that I see any kind of competition being put up. And, I mean, it's especially, it's international. We're seeing it right now.
Yeah.
Duke and Baylor, like, anything can happen over there. So.
Yeah. I'm going to agree and disagree. I'm going to agree in the sense of you got to tire her out, you got to attack her on defense, you got to try and get her in foul trouble. However, for Cal, I say you do go at Blake's. You try and send extra pressure. You force someone else to beat you. Especially we're seeing, I mean, again, in the Duke-Baylor game right now, when they're forcing Baylor to be more deep than they usually are and not letting Toby take all the shots, it's forcing Duke into a lot of misses and probably a lot worse field goal percentage they're going to shoot all year long. I think you have to attack Blake's. I think you maybe double her a lot on screens. You have to be hedging her. You have to always have a body on her at all times and make someone else make the shots. Now, again, she's still going to probably find her way into a quiet 20 if you do that, but forcing the others to put up maybe 50 to win this game, I like their odds if they can do that.
Gotcha. All right, well, we'll cut back. And like Kenzie said, it's in Paris, and if anything is of note, that Baylor-Duke game was relatively sloppy and a really tough shooting I guess, is it evening there, afternoon there? I don't know what time it is in Paris. It's morning. Know. It's morning, early afternoon here. But based off how that game is, it could get into who's going to make it out of the scrum. And that game's about to tip off here in about a half hour from where we're sitting. Yeah. Moving on to another big game happening tomorrow, a top 10 duel, guys.
Hey.
Number 8 Tennessee taking on number 9 NC State in a neutral site game tomorrow, 3 p.m. at the Roe Greensboro Invitational in Greensboro, North Carolina. For Tennessee, they're coming in. Last year, they were 24-10, ninth in the SEC. They lost to Texas in the Sweet 16. They performed relatively well in the tournament, but I think it was a down year for the Vols a little bit than what we'd come to expect from them. They return their leading scorer in Talasia Cooper, 16.6 points a game last year, as well as Z Spearman, 11, who averaged just under 12 points a game. There was a number 3 scorer. They do lose a couple other of their starters and their number 2, 4, and 5 scorers from last year. However, they did hit the transfer portal pretty hard. Janiah Barker from UCLA averaged 10 a game in 85 career games played. Nia Robertson from SMU, and 83 games played, averaged 16 points a game. And then Jersey Wolfenbarger from LSU has 100 games played. So they reloading with experience through the portal last year on top of their returning production that they have. Now, they also brought in the Paldo twins. Can't forget about them. Mia was a 5-star, Maya 4-star coming in. I'm sure they'll have a pretty big impact as well. For NC State, 28-7 last year. They were good. That was good for first in the ACC, 2 seed in the Big Dance. They lost to LSU in the Sweet 16. Now they got hit hard by departures. The number 1, number 3, number 4 scorers all moving on. They do return Zoe Brooks, averaged 14.2 points a game. Was the number 2 scorer, as well as some others. They also got some big transfers as well. They got Camille Pierre from Vanderbilt. Averaged 20 points a game, was the number 2 scorer for the Commodores last year. They also have Caden Samuels from UConn, who has 69 career games played. So both of these teams had solid years last year. NC State was obviously very good last year. I think NC State was hit harder with the departures, but both teams reloading with experience in the transfer portal, guys. I think we have a fantastic clash going on. I think normally just on paper, I give Tennessee the edge, and then I'm like, oh, wait, they're in North Carolina. And it's like, I really don't know who to give the edge. Guys, how are we feeling about this game?
Yeah. You go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say first off, great matchup to start the season. What I do like to note about NC State is they just played a scrimmage against number 10 Maryland and beat them, so they've already gotten to see their team against a higher level of competition, which is honestly, in my opinion, a big benefit here. Also, the home court advantage.
Right.
So both of those factors for NC State, I like those intangibles, but I do like Tennessee's roster a lot better. I think you put it well. They reloaded a lot better, and they also, in my opinion, they still returned good production with Talicia Cooper and Z Spearman, the 1 and 3 scorers, top 2 rebounds. I think that's more production than NC State brought back. So I like Tennessee.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll give NC State some credit. Like, Wes Moore does a great job of coaching. I say swagger a lot, but that's what's missing in women's basketball teams that aren't very successful is that swagger. Like you have to have it. I think even like JC Hoyt, she does a great job with the swagger stuff, and it brings an energy. And I think that Wes Moore does that with his players.
Yeah.
I think he allows them to be who they are, and I think that that's so huge. And so those transfers that he's bringing in. Yes, they're new, but they also bring their own swagger. Especially Pierre from Vandy. Like, she's bringing in a lot. And she's experienced. She's played with somebody who is obviously carried and all of those things. So she knows she has that experience. I love Tennessee, though. I will say I single-handedly love Kim Caldwell. I am a fan. I mean, she had a baby last season, just like Hoyt did, and returned 7 days later. So it's like,
insane.
It's insane. And it makes you want to play for someone like that. And I mean, that's the reason why they can get in so many transfers and recruits. I mean, who doesn't want to play for someone that goes and has a baby and then comes back because she loves her team so much?
Yeah.
Like, I think that brings so much energy into that team. And I think we see it in Penn State volleyball. Their coach, she was battling cancer. And she showed up to practice every single day. And, I mean, they have a huge documentary on it and everything. And, I mean, it is just why they wanted to show up. And I think that Tennessee has that same rapport with Kim Caldwell. And I love the way that they play. And I love the way that they play for each other. I think that Tennessee is one of the most selfless teams that I have seen. So it'll be kind of like a swagger in NC State versus, like, the selfless Tennessee kind of roster that we've seen before. So I think it's going to be interesting.
This personally might be the best game of the week overall for me personally. This is gonna be a fantastic duel. What do we think? We've already discussed how even if one team's lacking in one thing, they're gaining in the other. What do we think gives either team an edge tomorrow for that game? Is there something that's a definitive edge, or are we just going to get two Titans clashing and it's just going to be whoever has the last bucket or has the last shot attempt is going to win the game?
I mean, I think the edge could be the home court. I mean, it's not home court, you said, but it's basically home court for NC State. I mean, Tennessee's not that far off either. It's not like right. Texas traveling to North Carolina for that Texas Duke game. Like, Tennessee's crowd is going to travel. They're going to show up at this game. I think that could be the factor, but I mean, again, I think I like Tennessee's returners more, and I think that could be the edge of the system they've already built here with Cooper and Spearman. I like them to go get a bucket late if they need to.
Yeah, I really agree. I think it's just a system approach type of situation. Not only are you bringing back Talasia and Z, but you're bringing in twin sisters. I mean, that's just enough chemistry than you need, And so if you're lacking in areas, I'm sure that you can throw them in there. And I mean, I don't know exactly what they're looking like. They have kind of a younger, maybe incoming class or recruiting. But I don't know. I think Tennessee has a little bit of an edge, like you said, on paper. But it will be interesting, just home court advantage wise, who really comes out with it.
Gotcha. All right.
We do have maybe breaking news of a final.
Yes, there's 7. There's 1 second.
1 second left.
You know what? I'm gonna put a pin in it.
I'm putting a pin in it. Yeah. Unless they can score a 7-pointer, I think this one's over.
Baylor 58, Duke 52 in Paris. The Lady Bears get a huge opening day victory on the other side of the world. That's a huge game for them. A huge pickup for them, a huge non-con booster, and a huge Big 12 booster, might I add, since we're all about conference bias here in college sports nowadays, it seems like.
I do want to shout out something about
Okay.
that game. So obviously we talked about Talia Scott a minute ago.
Mm.
She ended up with 24 points.
Mm-hmm.
She scored 12 of Baylor's 15 in that fourth quarter.
Mm.
They
That's
just
insane.
handed her the rock,
Hey.
let her take over,
Hey, if it
and
works,
it
it
worked.
works.
Yeah.
Duke scored 9 in that fourth quarter. She quite literally outscored Duke herself, put Baylor
awesome.
on her back, and Baylor, I mean, they were down. They were tied going into the fourth quarter. And that 6-point difference, I mean, I'm shouting out Talia Scott. 24 points, 5 rebounds in this one. She's the reason Baylor's going home with a win.
There you go.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Okay, and one final big game. I want to talk about another top 25 duel. The defending national champions, the UConn Huskies, taking on the number 20 Louisville Cardinals in the Armed Forces Classic there. I believe it's at Navy's Arena in Maryland, in Annapolis. UConn, defending natty champs, 37-3 last year. First won the Big East. They did everything. They checked all the boxes last year, as you would expect.
Yeah.
They obviously lose the best player in basketball, Paige Becker's going on to the WNBA. However, for all things considered, they returned a lot of their roster.
Scary.
Number 2 scorer, number 3 scorer, number 4 scorer, their number 6 scorer who came off the bench last year, and your number 7 scorer, all back for the Huskies. They also get Sarah Williams from Wisconsin, who averaged 16.5 points a game in 91 career games played, averaged 19 last year for the Badgers. They also get Kaylee Heckel from USC, who averaged 6 points a game for the Trojans there. They also load up on recruits as well. UConn reloading again. No surprise there.
Yeah.
Louisville coming in last year 22-11, 6th in the ACC. They were a 7 seed. They lost to TCU in the round of 32. They lost a lot. Jada Curry, Olivia Cochran, Nyla Harris, Jalea Williams. They're 1, 3, 4, and 5 scorers from last year. And then they do return Tayana Roberts, who is the number 2 scorer. They get a couple big transfers, guys, but I personally don't know if it will be enough against UConn on Tuesday. That game's at 4:30.
I don't see any team anywhere. I mean, I don't know if anything is enough anywhere. You're bringing back so many. Sarah Strong, KK Arnold, Ozzie Fudd, Jenna L. Alfie, Ashlyn Shade, Ice Brady. I mean, dude, I don't know what else there is to say. And Gino is just, he's Gino. Like, you just can't beat a man like that. I mean, he is a full man. You cannot beat him when he has the lineup that he has. He's so good. I love UConn, and I love where they're going this year. And might I just say, Jeff Walz has lost 2 players in the last 3 years, to a Big 12 school. Mm-hmm. So, Jada Curry's now at Iowa State. Right. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe the Big 12 is doing something right. Maybe the conference stand is kind of going on here, the bias.
Big 12 women's basketball. I'm not going to lie. I don't know a team that can beat UConn right now.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
They're looking like one of those South Carolina teams from recently that could just go undefeated. Like, they genuinely could go undefeated all the way through March and win the Natty, and I would not be surprised. Gino can coach a team that well. Obviously, coach a team better than anyone in women's basketball, in my opinion. And then, Strong, Fudd, KK Arnold, and then you've got the transfers you talked about on top. Like, this team, if they just had the returners in the recruiting class, would be the number 1 team in the nation. You add in the transfers, and it's just overkill. Like,
yeah, I'd like to sit here and debate on how maybe on earth Louisville would tries to keep this close, but honestly, I don't really expect it.
We're just wasting breath.
The last thing I'm going to say about this is good luck to anyone who has UConn on their schedule this year. Okay, I'm gonna quickly run through ranked games, as I know we're running low on time here. Mm-hmm. I want to quickly just go as fast as I can through some ranked games. If there's anything I want to add on to it, as in men's basketball, non-conference schedules, a lot of teams playing cupcakes. We have 4 finals of ranked teams that have played. Obviously, Baylor taking out Duke. North Carolina handled an interstate game well for them. They defeated North Carolina Central 90-42. Ole Miss, number 12. North Carolina's number 11, by the way. Ole Miss, number 12. This game was oddly close early, but the Rebels ran away with it, 87-46 over Norfolk State. And then Iowa State absolutely dominated the St. Thomas Tommies, 85-36. Iowa State number 14. A couple other games happening today. Belmont taking on the number 6 Oklahoma Sooners down there in Norman. That was at 4:30. 5:30, Morehead State taking on number 24 Kentucky. A couple 6 p.m. games, Grand Canyon at number 2 South Carolina. For those keeping note, I think I'm going to combine some of these already that we were talking about, that we might have talked about later. Grand Canyon, they were obviously a tournament team last year. Their coach from last year goes, I believe, to Arizona State. They have a new head coach. Their head coach, who I didn't write the name down for,
It's Molly Miller? Is that like the old coach, right? Or no?
From GCU?
Yes.
New.
She's at Arizona State, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. I'm talking about the new coach that they have.
Okay, the new coach, yes.
The point is, he's from South Carolina, was an assistant at South Carolina last year, so that's an interesting tidbit there. Also at 6 p.m., Loyola, Maryland. There's a typo somewhere on there. Loyola, Maryland. Yeah, there was a typo. Loyola, Maryland taking on number 10 Maryland. I had North Carolina there for some reason. 6:30, Southern taking on number 21 Iowa. At 7 p.m. tonight, Incarnate Word at number 4 Texas. I want to shout out Incarnate Word, their new head coach, Jasmine Player, former associate head coach for the Oklahoma State Cowgirls, took over as head coach when J.C. Hoyt was on maternity leave. She now takes over for the full-time job there in the Cardinals. We're all Cardinals fans in Stillwater for this season, unless they're playing the Cowgirls. All Cardinals fans here, especially tonight as they're taking on Texas. We wish them good luck there.
Definitely against Texas.
Yes.
Definitely. And then the nightcaps, super late tonight, San Diego State at number 3 UCLA. Tuesday games, Mount St. Mary's at number 24 Richmond. The only in either polls, I guess I don't count Gonzaga as a mid-major, but the only mid-major team ranked in either one of the AP polls. They host Mount St. Mary's tomorrow at 5. Mercyhurst, number 23, Michigan State, 5:30. Canisius at 13, Michigan, 6 p.m. tomorrow. Poor Houston Christian. They're taking a trip to Baton Rouge to take on number 5, Louisiana State. Why did I call them as their full government name? LSU. I'm trying to roll here. 9 p.m. New Mexico State at number 18 USC without Juju Watkins for the season. Wednesday games, Fairleigh Dickinson at number 15 Notre Dame. 6:30 on Wednesday. Southern at Iowa State. They play again. And finally, a lot of ranked games this week.
Yeah.
Thursday, 1:30, UC Santa Barbara taking on UCLA. TCU kicks off their season hosting North Carolina A&T at 7 p.m. UMBC also taking on number 10 Maryland. Monmouth, number 24 Kentucky at 7 p.m. And then Southeast Louisiana at number 5 LSU on Thursday. Most of those games I had a note for that I already said. If anything else we want to add about any of those games, I expect a lot of blowouts from those teams. Not really any serious upset contenders, in my opinion, there.
I just have a few notes of some of the things of those games. So
yes.
In GCU and South Carolina, we mentioned that one, correct?
Yes.
So South Carolina has now Tania Latson, who came from Florida State.
Okay.
And she was the leading scorer last year. And Raven Johnson is also on South Carolina. They played in high school together.
Okay.
So now she's transferring from Florida State to South Carolina, and now they're playing together again for the first time since high school, so that's 3 years removed. And then also Malaysia Fulwiley transferred from South Carolina to LSU. So she was their best point guard last year.
Okay.
I don't know what would even cause that. I don't know why you would leave Dawn Staley, but that's just my opinion. I don't understand that. And then I don't think that maybe we talked about this, but just Arizona State, just a quick tidbit.
Yes.
I think I'm skipping around here, but it's okay.
That's good.
Arizona State playing Coppin State. I want to know, we have maybe a potential upset here, but I don't think so. ASU now has last year Poa, who played with LSU, and I think that she was a huge part of that championship run. I think I don't think anybody's really ready for her in the Big 12 right now. She brings SEC experience, and so Coppin State, I'm sorry, you're probably going to get a little bit torn up. Just I
started that game because Coppin State upset Arizona State last year, but it's a very different Arizona State team. I just wanted to throw that tidbit in there about that game. Arizona State's probably going to handle them just fine. A new head coach for the Sun Devils and a whole new roster. But that was an upset that I had there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are really the two noticeable like transfers in those teams and in those kind of games that I just wanted to point out.
Gotcha. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit on a couple big games. We'll get into our Go Poke segment here in a second. South Dakota State playing Creighton tonight at 6 p.m. as well. South Dakota State had 14 straight 20-win seasons so far. They also beat Creighton last year, as well as Wisconsin and Oregon. Creighton has 4 straight 20-win seasons. They were a tournament team last year, so that's going to be a fantastic unranked game tonight, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Let's see. Everything else, I have a couple. Down here. Fairfield taking on Villanova Wednesday, 6 p.m. Fairfield had 20-plus wins and an NCAA tournament appearance in 3 of the past 4 seasons, so they're another very good mid-major taking on Villanova, who has 14 straight winning seasons. Run through a couple potential upsets. Fairleigh Dickinson at Purdue. FDU was the NEC champ last year. Purdue was 10-19. We already talked about Coppin State and Arizona State. UNC Greensboro at number 9 at Stanford. I don't know why I said number 9. Oh, because it's at 9 p.m. tonight. UNCG was 25-7 as the SoCon champ, and Stanford had a down year 1 last year. I think Stanford will be okay, but just something to point out there. Lehigh at Cincinnati. Lehigh, 7 straight winning seasons. They won the Patriot League and made the tournament last year. Cincinnati is 29-32 over the last 2 seasons, so not great for the Bearcats. And then Quinnipiac at Rutgers Thursday, 6 p.m. Quinnipiac was 28-5 last year. Rutgers 13-20. Before we talk about the Oklahoma State Cowgirls, is there any of those that stick out? Any other games stick out for anyone?
I mean, I guess the shout-out would be South Dakota State Creighton for me.
Yes.
South Dakota State, I mean, obviously the team that knocked out Oklahoma State in the tournament last year. They do lose Paige Meyer and Haley Timmer. Haley Timmer, best player. I'm kidding, no, it was not. It was definitely Brooklyn Meyer. But Haley Timmer, I mean, a huge piece. I mean, she was 41% three-point shooter for that team. Meyer was another person that stretched the floor for them, 37% from 3. Both averaged a little over 12 points per game. Also, Paige Meyer underratedly averaged 5.3 assists a game. No one else on that team averaged more than 2. So she was the facilitator for that team. So you lose the facilitator, you lose some crucial 3-point shooting. I think that definitely gives Creighton the edge there.
There you go. Yeah, that's gonna be a fantastic game. Although I think I will give South Dakota State some credit that they've built what they built there. They could definitely found ways to rebound. I think from the losses that they took.
For sure.
Now, talked about South Dakota State.
My favorite segment.
You mentioned Haley Timmer.
Yes, my favorite segment.
And if you were keen, you might have noticed there was one ranking that I didn't say and go through when we're talking about ranked games. That's because I didn't mention the number 22 Oklahoma State Cowgirls they play 4 games this week, 7-day week. One of them is on Sunday. We'll talk about the 3 of them this week. They play New Orleans tonight, 6:30. 6:30. They play East Texas A&M Wednesday, 6:30, and they host Langston Thursday at, you guessed it, 6:30.
Popular time.
I expect the Cowgirls to roll in all 3 of those games. However, what challenges do we think do some of these teams present, and what do you expect to see in each game? Obviously, lots of shooting, but what do you guys feeling coming in the first 3 games for the Cowgirls?
I'll let you start.
Let me start. Okay. Well, I want to talk about the Cowgirls team, and I really like the roster they've put together this season. I mean, bring back Hurd, Gray, Wooten, Agrafba. Unfortunate that Macy Heward's going to be probably out for the season.
Yeah.
But the transfer portal class is where the conversation is. Amari Whiting, Haley Timmer. Those are the big 2. They brought in a lot of bigs. It's kind of unclear who's going to step up in that front court. I like A2 a lot to step up, and I think she'll probably get the start tonight. But I think what these 3 games need to be is proving us who's the front court. I think we know what we've got in the backcourt for the Cowgirls.
For sure.
Yes, there's still some competing for minutes who's going to get the starting spot. Because, I mean, there's between Hurd, Gray, Wooten, Whiting, and Timmer, that's 5 people to play 3 or 4 positions. Probably 4 because Oklahoma State likes to play smaller. So it's who gets bumped to the bench. That's the conversation here. But I really am watching this game to see what the front court can do, especially against those non-power schools. This is where the front court, our size, should dominate. You've got 2 6'5" centers on this team.
Yeah.
They should be able to make some noise tonight. If they can't this week, they're not going to ever. So I need to see a good front court performance.
Yeah, I agree. And I think last year their defense was amazing. I think just offensively, it was hard to get things clicking, kind of like you had said. And I think I went to their open practice, and one of the things that even Hoyt is trying to get her fans involved in is their defense. Mm-hmm. She has what they call a kill, which is 3 stops in a row, three defensive stops in a row. And so when that happens, you're going to hear maybe Hoyt or someone on the bench yelling kill, and they want their audience to yell the same thing. So, shout out.
Good to know.
Yes. So when
be ready for tonight.
Yes, 3
there
in
will
a
be
row.
a kill. There will be a kill tonight.
And I don't remember how many she said that they're aiming for in a game, or if she even said that, but I know that was a drill that they were practicing. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be very up pace. Their defense is very very high energy, which is what we saw last year, at least at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And then as things kind of died out, it was a little bit harder for them to sustain that.
Yeah.
But I think that they're really going to be able to, especially with the guards that they have, they're going to be able to rotate so much of that in and out. And I'm not even worried about the energy that they're able to bring. As far as who they're playing, their opponents, New Orleans, I'm not worried about.
Yeah.
I mean, they have 2,000-point scorers coming in from high school, but I mean that's kind of it. And East Texas A&M lost by 4 to New Orleans in overtime. I think it was last year. They lost by 4 to New Orleans. So I think however we play against New Orleans, it's going to be very similar for East Texas A&M. I don't think one is necessarily less than or greater than the other.
Yeah.
I will say Langston. It doesn't make me nervous. I think they're good. They're preseason number 11 in the NAIA.
Okay.
They were 31-3 last season. They are bringing back Jordan Brown, Michaela Woods, and Diamond Richardson, which are 3 names to probably know a little bit. They're their highest scorers, and I think that they're just really, really efficient. And I think they are also going to, if I remember correctly of their schedule, that they're going to LSU also. So they're playing LSU and they're playing OSU, I think, all in the same week. So it's a little bit crazy. To me, like, they're either going to be juiced up or they're going to be dead. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Thursday. But Langston is one that I would say will give us the best look at what OSU really is going to look like.
Yeah, that's good because the other 2 games I expect them to roll, and I just want them to be a little more tested because they have some decent opponents that they play in the non-con, but like last year, similar to last year, they just a super easy non-con. I think there was a very big kind of tempo jump, that they had to do when they got into conference play, and so I'm glad Langston will present to more of a challenge. But also want to continue on what both of y'all were saying. For me, for something I want to see this week is the consistency. Y'all talked about it last year. Sometime they just lack consistency. Some games they looked completely different than other games. That was also a little bit, I think, tied to home and away. Yeah. I think they just weren't as good as they were on the road as they were at home last year.
Yeah.
And I was at the scrimmage. I know I've said I didn't want to talk about scrimmages, but I was at this one, so I'm going to talk about it. They played Oklahoma Christian in an exhibition last week, and that was something that I stalled. Now, this was also they're putting a lot of guys in, subbing a lot of guys out, and that's just the name of the game. But there were times where there were dead spots offensively. They had runs where they would go ballistic for a few minutes, and then it was like, okay, all of a sudden we're getting a slug, and it's like we're in a slug against OCU out of all teams. Now, fortunately, OCU could not shoot the ball worth a dang on last week, but I want to see that. I wanted them to be consistent. Obviously, you can't be 100% consistent. You can't, go to every time you have possession, make a shot and then miss a shot, or force a miss on the defensive end. Yeah. But I would like to see a little bit more consistent of a game plan, and not have some of the low, the empty buckets the empty possessions that consecutively in a row that they have, and that's gonna come this week just because they are probably gonna rotate a lot because it is the non-con. But still very curious. Any other key things that y'all want to look for?
I think for me, we've seen it in the scrimmage for sure. It's clear that Hoyt wants to press this year. She wants those guards, because she's got so many amazing guards, to be putting pressure on. The thing, though, I don't know if it was because it was scrimmage or not, when they were pressing Oklahoma Christian, they didn't really force any turnovers off it. It was kind of like a soft press, which in my opinion, you're just tiring out your guards if you're not going to have them go full effort. If you're just having them kind of stand around and run but not, do much with it. I want to see some actual aggression in that press, which I think maybe it was just because of the scrimmage they weren't. But you've got a person like Whiting. She was out there getting steals from that press. Everyone else it felt kind of soft. And so I want to see, especially against a team that probably doesn't have the best ball handlers, probably is going to be nervous, not probably, isn't to the level of this Oklahoma State team. There should be a lot of turnovers forced off that press. So I really want to see the press executed well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that comes a lot from also maybe a little bit of fear of the whistle.
Mm-hmm.
I think last year they got burned a lot, and I think they're kind of getting used to that. Hey, we have depth, and so we can be aggressive. Yeah. And that's really hard when you spent a whole season saying, hey, we want to be aggressive, but we got to be careful, and we don't have that many fouls to give because our guards just aren't as easily interchangeable. Yeah. So I think that maybe some of those, Whiting, she played on a team that she could probably kind of do that, and that system worked, and so she's used to that.
Yeah.
Right? And so some of our guards that are returning, I think it becomes a little bit difficult to get past that mindset. But
yeah, especially with the bigs. Right now you've got like 4 or 5 interchangeable. Yeah. Tell them to go be aggressive out there in the paint. Like, you don't got to be scared of nobody.
All right, well, we'll have hopefully more answers rather than keys to look for when we talk about Oklahoma State next. A couple small things I want to hit on some mid-major madness really quickly. There's a MAC Sunbelt Challenge happening today, so a bunch of MAC teams playing Sunbelt teams all throughout the day, so keep an eye on that. And then another big mid-major game I want to look forward to on Thursday, George Mason taking on James Madison. That'll be a fun mid-major game there as well. Any notes for any of those?
Not necessarily.
Perfect. AP poll time. Reaction.
Yay.
Who's ranked too high? Who's ranked too low? And why is Oklahoma State not ranked number 1?
I was about to say the same thing. My first complaint is, why is Oklahoma State not 1?
I think they should be 1 personally, but that's.
Well, actually, no. We just talked. UConn's undefeatable. Oklahoma State can be 2.
Oklahoma State can beat them. I believe.
We talked about this off camera, but UConn is lucky last year that South Dakota State took out Oklahoma State. They would have beat them and still.
Exactly.
I can't even say it with a straight face.
For
sure. You got it. You got it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Genuine reaction, though, is Oklahoma State is underrated. Like, they should be higher than 22, in my opinion. I think it's one of those. A lot of the women's basketball AP poll, I feel like early on, is like kind of like the programs and the program that the media is seen, accustomed to, and is used to succeeding.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, that was their breakout year last year, and they didn't win a tournament game. So I feel like they're getting a little bit underrated on their roster because of their performance last year. I think Oklahoma State should be above the Iowas, the Louisvilles, the Vandy's. USC is questionable, and I have them with Baylor, to be honest, even though Baylor did just beat Duke. So I have Oklahoma State in that like 17 range, so I feel like it's a little low. The other one I want to talk about, it's not a big detail, but I do like pretty confidently have UCLA over South Carolina, which I know maybe is a hot take, but I love Lauren Betts. They returned their 3 top scorers in Betts, Rice, and I cannot say that name. Gabriella. Why can't I? What is that? How do I pronounce that? That is a normal name. My brain's just gone quiet. Jaquez?
She's Jaime Jaquez.
Jaime Jaquez. That's what. Okay, thank you. Okay. Return the top 3 scores. But the biggest, honestly, when transfer portal opened and Gianna Neepkins entered the transfer portal, I wanted her really badly to come to Stillwater. I knew it probably wouldn't happen. She was almost like a 19-point per game scorer at Utah. So you add her with Betts and those 2 other scorers. There's depth, there's scoring, and there's star power in UCLA. So currently, I would have them 2.
I think one of the biggest things that I don't like Duke at 7 at all.
It's aging
well. They're not going to be next
I know,
Monday.
They're not.
Or next Sunday.
I don't like them above Tennessee. I don't like them above NC State. I don't like them above any of these teams. Like, I would put them. I like our team better than I like Duke. I truly don't know. I don't know why Louisville's up here. I don't know why some of these teams are up here. I think you bring up a good point of like the media just kind of puts it out because that's what was there last year, and so it's really easy to say that. But I mean, I don't know. I think Kentucky should be maybe a little bit higher, but I'm a little bit of a Kentucky fan, so just because I loved Virginia Tech when they went on their run. So I don't know. There's just some teams in here that I truly don't understand why they are where they are. I don't really know. Like, I know why Notre Dame's way down at 15, but I don't think that they should be at 15.
Yeah.
Like, Olivia Miles isn't there anymore, but, I mean, Hannah Dalgo is a dog. And I don't know why they're not up a little bit higher. Like, I see them beating Duke. I see all of these teams beating Duke. So Duke is really a huge outlier for me. I think I agree with a lot of these. I think Duke is the one where I don't understand. I think they should be in the top 25, but I don't know why they're so far up there. That's something that really confuses me. I truly don't know. That one kind of rubs me the wrong way. So, I don't know.
My other question I want to put up there is, do you all agree at all that the best Big 12 team is 14? Like, you're telling me
that was one thing that stuck to me when I was putting this together. I was like, okay, the SEC, ACC, Big East. Okay, where's the Big 12?
Yeah.
I was like, where? I mean, certainly we got someone that can go in the top 10. Like, good lord.
I just counted there were 6 SEC teams above Iowa State. Like, I don't think Ole Miss is better than Iowa State. I don't think there's 6 SEC teams better than the best Big 12 team, and Iowa State, in my opinion, is the best Big 12 team. I think there was 4 Big Tens, and yeah, like you said, like 1 Big East, and another outlier in there somewhere. But I think they're really heavily underrating Big 12 women's basketball. It's what happened last year, and it's what's going to hurt teams like an Oklahoma State. That, like, when you start a media poll with this many teams from the SEC at the top, every SEC team is going to look like they have good wins, and every Big 12 team is going to look like they don't.
Yeah.
But that's just not the... Like, if Iowa State is a top 7 team, and then you've got Baylor and TCU and Oklahoma State all top 16, or top 20 at least, it looks like a more powerful conference. Now, no matter what Oklahoma State does, if you go 18-2 in conference play, it still doesn't look as impressive as like a 15-5 SEC team. So it's just already creating this imbalance, which I don't like.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Iowa State and OU are very similar to me in the way that they kind of just play and stuff. And I take Iowa State over OU, not only because of my bias, but I truly I don't see why they're not above an OU team or like NC State. I think that I just don't know how you stop Audie Crooks against NC State and things like that. So I agree. I think that the SEC is really kind of getting a notch up, which I don't disagree with some of these rankings, but I don't know why some of our teams aren't maybe more integrated in that top 10. And shoot me for saying this, but like I think TCU is the best Big 12 team. I really love Olivia Miles. I love Donovan Hunter. I love Taylor Bigby. I think that they are very good key scorers, and yeah, you're missing Van Lith and Sedona Prince, who I don't really care about. Yeah, and Connor, true.
Connor was a big piece to me for that team.
She was, but I love that community, that connection that TCU has, and I think Olivia Miles is going to do some big things.
Yeah.
She really excites me for that team. So I don't know. I would put her above Baylor for sure, and Iowa State would be tough. But yeah, I see what you're saying about that top 10.
Yeah.
Well, Baylor just picked up a top 10 win by this AP poll, so we'll see.
Hey, yeah.
We'll see how that shakes up. So we got a couple other big ranked matchups, which we'll go ahead and go through some of them here as we make our final picks. Now we're just gonna pick 4 since we're running low on time.
Way over on time.
But that's okay. I love talking about ball.
Oh, yeah.
All right, first one I'm gonna start with Cal Vanderbilt. How are we going with here? I think it's
Vandy.
obvious.
Vandy, yeah.
Vandy?
I'm going Vandy. Also, just because it's in Paris, we just saw what just happened with that Baylor game. Like, it's going to be coming down to the stars. And, I mean, Vandy has the star.
Let me rephrase. Not Vandy, Blake's. That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah, I choose Blake's.
I'm going Vanderbilt, so clean sweep for the Commodores. Then we have Tennessee, NC State, a unstoppable force versus immovable object situation happening in Greensboro tomorrow night. This is decision time. Who are we going with?
I'm going Tennessee. I like Kim Caldwell. I'm a stan. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go Tennessee, too. It was hard to pick against the near home team, but I think Tennessee just has the better talent returning, and I like the sister duo.
Y'all are making this hard on me because I also want to go Tennessee, but you know what? For the sake of it, I'm going NC State. Give me the Wolfpack taking care of business in a very, very close, very, very good ball game against the Volunteers. I don't know why I'm about to say Vanderbilt. All right. UConn, Louisville. We already hinted at it. I think we're clean
I got
sweep
Louisville.
for UConn.
I'm kidding.
It's on record.
Wait. I got UConn.
All right, we got UConn, clean sweep there. Final game, South Dakota State, Creighton is what I'll go with. Guys, who are we going with here?
I like Creighton. I think that they're bringing back a lot more than South Dakota State is. So I think that they just have some consistency on their roster. So I'm going Creighton.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Creighton. We're agreeing on all these. I talked about it earlier with Timmer gone, with Meyer gone. Like, I think Meyer, what she did for that offense facilitating-wise, I think is just a really big missing piece that they didn't fill.
So they're probably all going to be undefeated by the next time we record. I'm probably going to have 3 losses, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and say what South Dakota State has done for the past 14 years. I think they keep that going. I think they find a way to win tonight. Is it tonight? Yes, tonight against Creighton, and I'll pick the Jackrabbits. Well, we talked a lot of ball.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about a lot, and we went way over, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and wrap things up there. Everyone have a fantastic week, a season opening week of college basketball on both the men's and women's side. We'll be back sometime on Friday to talk about what happened this week and the weekend stuff. Appreciate you for watching. Kenzie Craich, Connor Fuchsa, Jacob Patterson, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.